The whole class is taking a physical strength exam. To pass it, everyone bought stimulants from the teacher. Everyone except our MC. He simply can't afford those expensive stimulants. When the exam begins, the others barely manage to do 30 pull-ups with the magic wrist weights. They try their best, but that's their limit. When it's our MC's turn, the teacher decides to take revenge on him for not buying the stimulants and increases the weight on the magic bracelets many times over. But that doesn't stop the MC. He easily does 100 pull-ups, humiliating everyone else. They just can't understand how this broke loser surpassed them all. And here's how he got such strength. Jochin was a bottom-of-the-barrel E-ranker with crippling debt. The last thing he did to fix his hopeless life was to summon a demon that could make him rich and powerful. However, that is not how a deal with the devil really works. He learns that the hard way when a lightning bolt crashes from the sky and ends his pathetic life on the spot. A few moments later, he wakes up with a mind-numbing headache because he still has an important project to finish. When our boy looks at his reflection, he is utterly shocked by his own face. Looking up at the giant white tree in the sky, he wonders what is even going on. That is when a mysterious being congratulates him on summoning it and grants him exactly 3 wishes. That makes him panic for a moment, and he finally realizes that he got sent into another world. At first, he thinks that he is the protagonist of some isekai story, and the floating book granting him 3 wishes is a wish-granting Goldfinger. Thinking 3 wishes is too little, he gets the big brain idea and boldly asks for 10 wishes as his first request. Hearing that, the demonic book gets excited when it quickly catches on that this is not his original summoner. The demon transforms into its true form after realizing a new soul has entered Joe's body. Our boy is both confused and wetting his pants after seeing the monster, who tells him that he devoured the body's original soul and was supposed to take over it. He quickly realizes he got sent into the wrong world. He tries to get out of there as fast as he can. Still, the demon snaps his fingers and instantly lights his body on fire, because even thinking of breaching the contract will cause him to suffer endless hellish punishment. His screams ring throughout the streets, and the demon thinks it is time to end the nonsense since the boy really was as pathetic as he thought. Just then, our protagonist from a corporate background gets an idea. He claims it doesn't count as breaching the contract if the demon's punishment makes it impossible for him to do his part. Hearing a mere human try to negotiate with him, the demon is intrigued. Joe grins, saying that he would have taken over his body by force already if that was possible. He confidently claims that this was nothing more than a test of his willpower, and he proved himself more than worthy. His bold statement makes the demon crack up, and it declares that he is the first human to even think about making a deal with the devil himself. Suddenly, he gets a chance to sign the contract, and the demon agrees to give him a fresh start if he achieves just one of his wishes. However, the bastard also makes his first wish to get 1,000 more wishes. The demon rubs it in his face that he has no choice but to accept, since he is pretty much dead otherwise. With no choice left, he tells his new boss that the deal is done and signs the contract with his own soul on the line. The next morning, he finally reaches his apartment, running around looking like a drug addict who got attacked by dogs all night. His new boss ditched him right after the contract was finished, but he decides to suck it up since he is practically a slave now anyway. As he enters the apartment, he notices that the place is completely run down, and there is no one inside. Suddenly, he picks up a debt note signed with blood and wonders what the hell is wrong with his family. Right then, he hears a loud voice from behind and gets whacked by a metal bat in the back of his head. The rude intruder yells at him for ignoring his calls, but his partner tells him not to beat the kid to death. His buddy warns him that the kid could be dangerous since he is an oracle. Confused and furious, our hero asks the guys who they are, and the blonde guy politely replies with a brutal kick to his chest, asking where his useless hag of a mother is. Then the guy trashes on him for having a stupid mom who burns herself out trying to pay off debts for her deadbeat son like him. He is amused that his mom does not realize he will always be garbage, and calls both him and his mother a waste of oxygen. Suddenly, Joe remembers the time from his childhood when he told his mom he did not want to be a loser anymore. He saw a nightmare where his mom worked so hard she died from exhaustion, and worried deep down that it might just happen one day. When he asked what would happen if he did not awaken as an oracle, his mom simply told little Chen to stop worrying. She said that even if the whole world went down, she would always be there for him, and told him to be confident in himself. Back in the present, he gets fired up and throws a lightning speed punch at the blonde guy's face out of nowhere. While the scumbag is blown away, his partner hears a loud thud and tells him to stop before he kills the kid, only to see his body fly right past. After the dust settles, his face looks so bad that even plastic surgery cannot fix it anymore. Seeing that, the other two stare at the sudden shift in his aura and think he had a breakthrough in real time. Meanwhile, our boy flashes them his coldest stare yet and tells the bastards to shut their filthy mouths. Deciding they need to teach the E-rank brat a lesson, the goon says to Jun that it is time to whoop some sense into him by breaking a leg or two. Our boy catches on that they are talking about his power and figures that they are probably a higher level than him anyway. As Jun swings down his pipe from overhead, Joe sees it move in slow motion and jumps out of the way with ease. He then appears right behind the gorilla with a gentle touch of his knee to the face. His savage kick sends the fool flying. After that, his partner attacks from behind while wondering how a mere E-rank can be so freaking agile. The man thinks Joe cannot see him, so he aims to shatter a couple of ribs. However, he gets his own ribcage destroyed by a roundhouse kick instead. As he gets tossed out like last night's trash, the guy cannot believe what is even happening. The man begs our boy for mercy, because he only came on Lin Yu's orders to collect the loan money. Hearing that, he tells the loan shark to tell his boss that he will get his money in due time, so he needs to chill out and get the hell out of his life. The goons shudder at his words and quickly waddle out through the front door. Just then, Joe asks the demon if he is there, and Goldfinger is surprised the amateur was able to sense his presence. He replies that he was able to feel his power surging strongly through his body, and the demon tells him to be grateful for the help. Our boy excitedly butters him up by calling boss, and says he does not need to be afraid of anyone if he borrows his power. That irritates the demon because a peasant mortal should not even dare to think about wielding the power that could easily end his life if he used it over his limit. Shu is shocked to hear that, and he asks the boss how he can grant his wishes if he is not strong enough. Goldfinger assures him that he will get stronger from rewards, but warns him to forget about using his power for the time being. Our hero is pretty disappointed upon hearing that, but Goldfinger thinks to himself that it is insane how well he wielded his power. That makes him wonder if Joe is secretly his fated partner. After that, he asks the boss about his second wish and what he should do next, but the demon simply tells him to forget about it and just do whatever he wants for now. Hearing that, he sighs because there is a lot he has to learn about the new world, and it looks like his new body will not be that useful. He pulls out Joe's phone to get a better idea about what the boy's life was actually like. First, he notices that he did not get a single message or call from his family, but when he opens his sister's text, what he sees leaves him completely speechless. She texted him a while ago to come as fast as he can because their mom had fallen into a coma. Later at the hospital, he throws the door wide open in suspense. Inside, he sees a girl who seems to be his sister hunched over in deep worry in front of their mother's bed. It takes him a moment to realize that the atmosphere is painfully uncomfortable, which makes sense since he ignored his sister before. He walks up to her and looks at the woman in the bed, who is supposed to be his mother. He cannot believe how bad her state is compared to the memory he has of her in his mind, and he wonders if it is all Joe's fault. With a guilty look, he apologizes to his sister for being late and asks how their mother is doing, but she just smiles in anger, asking what lame excuse he is going to give her this time. She repeats all the stupid excuses he made in the past about training and summoning demons. Suddenly, she bursts out on him, unable to believe that he could not even come out to see his mom, who went into a coma because she ground herself down to the bone to pay off his loans. He goes quiet when she says their mother nearly died because she ran out of money to pay the hospital bills after paying off his endless debt. After venting everything out, she tells him they have had enough and passes him a card with 6 months of his expenses, saying she will take care of their mother herself. He sweats in confusion, asking what that means, and his sister calmly says that he is dead to her. Later outside, Goldfinger senses his dark emotions and asks why the human girl's words hurt him so much. The demon assures him he was not the one who caused it, but he remembers that Joe's sister reminded him of his pathetic self, who once made the same mistake. That makes his boss laugh, and he tells him not to let it delay his plan. Hearing that, Joe asks him if getting stronger will solve all his problems, and the demon confirms that they will all go away if he proves he has what it takes. With that, he is fully determined to start his training arc. Meanwhile, at a nightclub, the debt collector's boss tells his secretary to get their team working fast because his customers will not wait around. But his secretary informs him that a student actually beat up 3 of their guys. Hearing that, the gangster remembers that his men tried to collect payment before the deadline and ruined his reputation. His secretary says he will give them their punishment, but he also explains it is a serious problem because the student beat up guys who were way above his level. That catches the boss's full attention, and then he quickly grabs the report with Joe's profile on it. He thinks the boy is far stronger than he makes it seem because no amount of skill can let a level 2 win against a level 3. In the end, he orders his secretary to keep tabs on the boy. The scene then shifts to our hero out on a morning jog. His friendly neighbor offers him a good deal on supplements, but he tells the old man that he will come back later. Looking at how energetic he is, the man wonders if maybe he got a girlfriend or something. However, Joe has been busy getting used to his body and getting jacked, while gathering information ever since he got discharged. He learns that the people with abilities are called oracles, and that he got into deep debt because the supplements to get stronger cost an arm and a kidney. While he is not sure what the ceiling is, he's been getting pretty swole with just a few days of training and drugs. As he is thinking this, someone calls him, and when he picks up the phone, the voice on the other side yells at him that he forgot to come back like their teacher asked. Hearing that, our boy suddenly remembers that he completely ghosted them. The next day at school, he learns there are 6 ranks from A to E, and you have to reach the highest level of your rank to move to the next one, which takes monstrous effort. Because of the huge difference, the world is divided into 5 layers where the E ranks and normal plebs like him are in the outermost zones. Meanwhile, the D rank and higher are in the inner layer. Realizing he is bottom-tier trash, he decides to get stronger as fast as he can, so he can enter the middle layers quickly. Suddenly, a Neanderthal hits him from behind with a booger and laughs in his face. His buddy jokes that our boy looks so weak they could probably pummel him, even though he is a level 1 oracle like them. Hearing that, our boy is annoyed that monkeys like them still exist in this world. Right then, the teacher shows up for class. Later outside, he is stretching and thinks his school life is going quite well so far. Just then, someone calls out to him from behind. A few minutes later, Booger Guy is shocked to see our boy in a fight with the strongest guy in their class. His buddy isn't surprised, though, since he is used to seeing Joe fight. The bully tells our hero he has gotten too cocky for his own good, just because he got good grades on written exams. He says the real value of an oracle comes from strength, and his level 1 strength is garbage. Hearing that, Bro reminds the bully he is level 1 trash as well, which makes the bully so mad that he throws a violent hook. Joe effortlessly catches the fist with one hand and twists the wrist with the other, asking if he is done yapping. The angry guy cannot believe he is being overpowered by him, and he wonders if Joe got taller than before too. Next, Joe fires the guy's words back at him that strength is everything, then politely asks for permission to smash his face in. While the guy sweats hard thinking he is going to get beaten up, the coach suddenly appears and gets furious at our boy for causing trouble in his class. The coach looks as irritated as ever and asks if he plans to stir up trouble the moment he gets back. Our boy puts on the most innocent face he's got and claims they were only playing around. The bully yanks his hand free and tells him to let go. Seeing things cool down, the coach warns our hero one last time and orders everyone to line up for testing. Soon after, the students gather beside a pull-up bar while Coach Gigia starts running his mouth. He hypes them up about the upcoming tournament against other schools, promising that strong results will not only bring glory to the school, but also open doors to elite academies. By the end of his speech, he shamelessly starts plugging his miracle supplements like the scam artist he is. The challenge begins with the bully hitting 50 pull-ups in one go. Ju is unimpressed and says that this feels more like a TikTok challenge than a serious test. Right then, a voice calls out to him, asking if he is doing all right. The class rep admits she was worried since he ignored her messages for days. She quickly tries to cover it up, saying she was just curious about him, but our boy reassures her that nothing happened. Switching the subject, she asks why he refuses to buy the teacher's shady supplements. Joe bluntly replies that he is broke. She tries to warn him about the consequences of skipping the purchase, but her name gets called before she can finish. Wishing her good luck, he sends her off. She manages only 25 pull-ups before failing, but the coach remembers she bought 2 bottles from him and magically bumps her score to 35. It suddenly clicks for our boy that this is the real reason every student bought the overpriced junk in the first place. Otherwise, they would risk getting expelled. Finally, Joe steps forward for his turn at the bar. The coach narrows his eyes, fully aware our hero never bought a single bottle. A twisted smile creeps across his face as he decides to set an example with him for not buying his trashy merch. Meanwhile, Joe studies the pull-up bar and the wrist guards, noting they look normal at first glance, but there must be some trick behind them. As soon as he grips the bar, his eyes go wide in shock. His body suddenly feels heavier, and he quickly figures out that the crystals embedded in the wrist guards are adding extra weight. Even so, our boy refuses to give in, realizing that the crystals must have a weight limit. Pushing through, he proceeds to pump out reps, like it's nothing. The other students stare in disbelief, floored that the so-called weakling is outperforming them with ease. They lose their minds when Joe blasts past 100 reps, yelling that he must be at least second tier. When he finally lets go of the bar, a crowd swarms him, bombarding him with endless questions. Meanwhile, the coach is frozen stiff, wondering if the boy secretly juiced on enhancers. Fear creeps in as he realizes that students might no longer need his sketchy supplements. Just then, he gives a devilish smile, scheming up a nasty plan for our hero. The scene cuts to the principal, who is fuming into a phone call about the cancellation of their second-tier events. He argues that the school is underfunded and barely scrapes by with third-tier students. The man on the other end bluntly replies that the system is searching for elite oracles, which is why the money is being funneled into top schools. Slamming the phone shut, the principal facepalms in frustration, realizing the school has no funds to produce a single elite oracle. His eyes fall on a black crystal locked in a glass case as he racks his brain over how to keep the school in business. The thought is cut short as Coach Gigia's voice calls from outside the office. The coach strolls in and proudly lays down a list of names he claims will rise into elite oracles. The principal scans the paper and immediately sees that every single one listed is barely first tier, yet the coach is selling them as prodigies. The coach then says there is one student who is unfit to become an oracle, and the principal takes the bait, asking who it is. The story shifts back to our hero, making his way toward the principal's office with the demon lingering beside him. The cursed book asks what he pulled this time, but Joe stays quiet. Standing outside the door, he remembers how nasty the headmaster's reputation is and hopes nothing ugly comes of this meeting. Right as he reaches for the handle, flames burst into existence in front of him, catching him completely off guard. The demon lights up, thrilled that the triggered wish he mentioned earlier has finally appeared. He orders Joe to track down the object fast, but Joe starts complaining about how ridiculously bad the timing is. His thoughts are cut short when the principal himself breaks the silence, telling him to stop wasting time and get inside already. Stepping in, Joe politely asks why the headmaster called for him. The man flips through his school record and then asks the student what he thinks it takes to become an oracle. Without waiting for a reply, the principal answers himself, saying it all comes down to money. He then tells Joe, with zero hesitation, to quit now while he is still ahead. The color drains from his face, and the principal goes on, explaining that the cost of developing an oracle is far too high. He insists that Joe is just a broke kid who cannot possibly survive here in the long run. In his head, he figures it is better to cut losses with weak students now, and he is even willing to return the tuition fee. Joe takes a few seconds to process the situation. Meanwhile, the demon's eye goes wide as he suddenly realizes the crystal is the object and tells our hero to grab it. He quietly whispers to the cursed book to grab it himself, but the demon immediately reminds him that it needs someone else to act. Joe pauses, lost in thought, realizing that he absolutely has to get into the mid-city zone, which means he cannot afford to be expelled here, no matter what. He steadies himself and recalls that not a single student from this academy has ever gone beyond E2 level, which is exactly why these students are considered so valuable. Our boy then asks the demon if he can decide the reward for this mission. At that moment, it clicks for the demon what Joe is planning, but before he can speak, Joe cuts him off and declares that he wants the borrow power skill. Goldfinger explodes, shouting at him, reminding him just how insane and dangerous that choice really is, but our boy is locked in. He argues that if he ends up expelled, then the demon's wish may never come true and demands that the cursed book trust him. Reluctantly, Goldfinger caves in and admits that whatever happens from here cannot be blamed on him. A glowing panel materializes in front of Joe, asking if he wants the borrow power skill. He accepts instantly without hesitation. The principal then interrupts his thoughts, asking if he has any final words. He answers firmly that he wants the principal to assess his level again and only then decide. The principal shakes his head at the hopeless request, but extends his hand anyway. On contact, he notes that Joe's strength is greater than what the records suggest, but still not nearly enough to stay. Closing his eyes, Joe realizes this is his last chance and desperately tries to absorb as much star energy as possible. He then begins to emit pure aura, shocking the principal. Even the demon is taken by surprise since he never expected the kid's energy to surpass the power he lent him. The principal staggers back in shock, trying to process what just happened. It hits him that Joe somehow broke through and reached the 4th level just now. Grinding his teeth, the man regains his composure and calls on our boy, telling him to participate in the upcoming school tournament. Joe blinks in surprise, trying to figure out why the headmaster's tone flipped so suddenly. Once the dust settles, he pieces together that the guy probably wants to drag Lee to school out of the trash and use him to show off in front of the education department. The principal admits that to make ends meet, he wanted to weed out the useless students and then apologizes for catching Joe in this mess. As a reward, he grants him a full scholarship plus 6 bottles of supplements each week. He lays it down straight, saying our hero has to represent their school because the entire future of the academy is riding on him. Realizing just how desperate the man is, our boy shoots his shot and asks if he can have the black crystal on the shelf. The principal explains it's carved from black star crystal, originally brought back by the previous head, and it represents the school's faith. But then he sighs that if the school collapses, its symbol means nothing, so he agrees that he will hand it over. Our hero responds with confidence, promising he'll give his all to win the tournament. The principal then shifts topics and asks how he got that strong. Joe plays it off casually, saying he was hiding his strength the whole time. The headmaster nearly chokes, thinking that masking a level is the ultimate pro-gamer move, and swears he won't breathe a word of it to anyone. Just then, a woman walks into the office and the principal instructs her to escort Joe to the elite class. A short while later, she explains that the entire 2nd floor is reserved only for elites. Shifting the subject, she casually asks what kind of connection he has with the principal, but Joe brushes it off without giving her anything. Right then, Coach Gigia comes storming in at full speed. He apologizes, saying he begged the headmaster to reconsider the decision, but it was of no use. The female teacher cuts him short, clarifying that Joe isn't being expelled at all and he's actually being moved to the elite class. She adds that the principal is now looking for him, which makes the coach's face lose all color. Later that night, he drags himself back to his tiny apartment and crashes onto the bed. He mutters to himself, wondering how on earth a broke kid like him is supposed to reach level 4 in such a short window. The demon immediately cuts in, reminding him of the mission at hand. Goldfinger warns that his power won't trick humans forever, and he admits he already figured that much. Still, he reasons he's got free supplements and dodged expulsion, so life isn't looking too bad right now. Looking at his phone, he realizes the real crisis is still the mountain of debt, and he needs to cook up a money-making plan fast. The next day at school, he looks more depressed than ever. Looking around at the dusty, rundown area, he wonders what kind of dump he just walked into. Out of nowhere, someone calls his name. A man waves from a distance, telling him to come over with a huge smile. They strike up a conversation, and the man apologizes for not finding him sooner since he's always buried in class duties. The guy introduces himself as Teacher Jang, and Joe immediately asks if he's really the only teacher here. Jang scratches his head, admitting the school hasn't been doing great and he's the only one assigned to the advanced class. He adds that they use the innermost section for training, which is why the outer halls are just collecting dust. Pushing open the door, the teacher reassures Joe not to worry, insisting the facilities are still top-notch. He even promises that things won't ever be boring, while our hero just stares in awe. The interior doesn't match the outside at all and is like a world-class gym. His teacher explains that the students are all doing self-training and offers to introduce him. He thinks the place looks like a 5-star fitness club, with students full of energy, though he does catch a few throwing him side glances. His teacher then calls everyone over to introduce the newcomer. He bows politely and greets them with respect. But a red-haired guy at the back immediately starts trouble, crossing his arms with a smirk. He mocks Joe, telling him to drop the act and admit he used connections to get in. The teacher snaps at him, shouting at Wenhao to behave, and explaining that Joe transferred purely based on skill. The guy isn't buying it. He narrows his eyes like a predator spotting easy prey, and challenges Joe to a fight out of nowhere. The students instantly light up, thrilled to see a duel for the first time in ages, and start spreading rumors. A blonde student at the back asks what's going on, and a pink-haired girl explains that a fight is about to break out. That sparks the blonde's interest, and he quickly asks more about this so-called transfer student. Back with our hero, the teacher advises him to refuse the challenge, but Joe accepts without hesitation. He calmly adds that he's fine with the match, as long as lethal force is off the table. Meanwhile, in the school office, the principal is nearly bursting a vein, demanding to know if the new kid is already picking fights. The teacher explains on a call that our boy accepted Wenhao's challenge. Back to the fight, neither side backs down as they face each other and farm mad aura. The principal finds it odd but figures the kid just wants to know his current level, so he grants permission for the duel to take place in the arena. Sometime later, the two students stand behind separate desks as the teacher goes over the rules. First, there can be no outside interference, and secondly, both fighters must compete at the same star level. Wenhao finds it difficult to believe that Joe is really also an E-rank oracle. Their teacher then wraps up the instructions, strongly reminding them that striking vital points is absolutely prohibited. The two opponents start circling each other while the teacher reminds them that lethal force is not allowed under any circumstances. He continues that whoever loses cannot retaliate afterward, no matter the outcome. A clean strike to the face or a surrender will end the duel immediately. With a wave of his hand, their teacher signals the start. Hoping to finish quickly, Wenhao charges forward and aims straight for his neck. He doesn't even flinch and catches his arm, throwing him off completely. The redhead instantly swings again, realizing this guy might actually be the real deal. Wenhao unleashes a barrage of relentless strikes, but Joe slips past each one with calm precision. Frustrated, Wenhao suddenly shifts gears and tries to land a kick. The leg twists midair and the redhead unleashes his signature move, Windhook Kick. Joe manages to block with his arm, though the redhead grins, assuming the match is decided now. From that very position, he surprises him with a sharp kick aimed at Wenhao's neck. The redhead tries to recover, questioning how the hell this guy even knows martial arts. Catching himself before falling, Wenhao thinks the only thing that matters now is guarding his face at all costs. But just as he turns back, Joe calmly taps him on the nose with a closed fist. With a smirk, he asks if that means victory, leaving Wenhao frozen in disbelief. The arena goes silent for a bit, until Teacher Zhang officially declares Joe the winner. Wenhao could not believe that he actually lost to someone, and everyone is surprised at the shocking outcome of the match. They think our boy is just too strong. Meanwhile, he thinks the match ended far too quickly, but still he managed to learn something from it. He then asks Wenhao if he has any complaints now. Seeing the match, the coach cannot believe his eyes because Wenhao is an elite who has taken professional training, but he still lost to a guy who only just got promoted into the elite class. He thinks our boy has exceptional hidden talent, and this is the reason the principal had told him to give the kid special treatment. Suddenly, the principal appears and congratulates our boy, telling him to follow because he wants to talk about something important. The pink-haired girl is astonished to see this sight, while the yellow-haired guy says that they definitely need a guy like him in their strong crew. The principal asks our boy if he likes the elite class, and he replies that other than the students being overly enthusiastic, it is nothing really special. The principal says that he will get used to it because the strong always attract attention. He also advises him to focus on his training, and the school will do everything it possibly can to help him. Hearing this, our boy thinks that the principal now trusts him, so he decides to ask if he knows about any ways through which the students can make money fast. But he tells him instead to keep focusing on training so that he can earn a larger amount of money in the long run. And the school can also help financially if his family is going through a rough patch. Our boy tells him that it is nothing like that, and thinks that now he has to find another way somehow. When he is training in the gym, he reminds himself that he should be careful, because the school has very strict policies against student loans. He wonders where he can learn to make some extra money, but suddenly the yellow-haired guy appears in front of him and compliments him on the match. He then asks our boy who he is, and he asks the same question right back to him. Meanwhile, the girl tells Shen that he is being rude, and she apologizes to our boy that he is sometimes a little annoying. She introduces herself by saying she is Sue, and that the pain in her side is Shen. She tells him that both of them are his seniors, and they can help him if he is confused about anything at all. The annoying guy then says that they are a team from now on, and he is the team leader, so he will personally take good care of him. He then asks our boy about the combat technique which he used against Wen Hao, but our hero says that he does not know anything about such techniques at all. The leader gets surprised when our boy tells him the move he used was only just a reflex. He says that Wen Hao will be furious when he finds this out, and Sue quickly says that she will explain it to him. She explains that combat techniques are special super moves which a person learns from scrolls or memory stones, and the more mastery one has over it, the stronger it becomes. They have many different types, and strong fighters combine these techniques into their fighting styles. Shen then tells him that Wen Hao used a D-rank combat technique in the match, one known as the hook wind kick. Hearing that, our boy thinks that must be the reason he was unable to block the kick properly, and he will have a greater chance of winning if he can acquire such a technique. He asks if they are rare, and the leader explains that their rarity depends on the ranks. The school teaches them the basic ones, but they can learn the powerful only in two conditions. They either buy them or someone shares it with them, but they are really expensive. In today's market, even a basic D-rank technique can cost around 500,000. Showing off, both of them tell him that they have got a combat technique, and they can show him if he wants to see it. Joe thinks that these two must be really rich because such a huge amount is nothing for them. Suddenly, it strikes him that he can ask them about the different ways from which he can make quick money. He asks them if there is a fast way for him to earn money, but he says he does not want to do anything illegal like robbing a bank. Shen tells him that his only option is the Blackwater district, but Sue quickly tells him not to utter such nonsense. He then says that he has heard anything can happen there, but the school forbids students from entering that district. After that, the leader asks our boy how much money he needs for the technique, and he says around 300,000. Both of them immediately check their accounts, but they are completely broke. Meanwhile, our boy thinks that he will check out the Blackwater district after school anyway, because he really needs the money right now. He reaches the district by using the maps and thinks that it is really close to his home. No one can think that he is a student because he is not wearing his uniform anymore. He even asks the boss what he thinks about the district, but he does not get a single reply. According to what he has heard, the outer zones do not have strong fighters, and his power level is equal to a level 4 oracle, so he can easily handle anyone. If the situation gets worse, then he is sure he can at least run away safely. After taking a closer look around, he thinks that this area has definitely been abandoned, and wonders if this really is the Miracle Zone, but he can still see faint footprints around, which lead him toward a hidden secret pathway. He then finally reaches the Miracle Zone after carefully going through the pathway. In the Miracle Zone, our boy sees the dirty surroundings and all the shady dealings. He thinks that no one talks about this place because it has no laws, and literally anything can be done to make a profit. After seeing all these things, he gets a glimmer of hope that he can really make enough money to pay his debt. Suddenly, he asks the stalking goons for how long they are planning to follow him. One of the goons compliments him on his sharp instincts and says he was planning to strike when he was completely careless. But now the situation has changed and he is going to beat him down in front of everyone. He says that he has seen plenty of boys like him before, the rich children who come to the Blackwater district in disguise and then become prey for them. Joe thinks that he is some kind of idiot because he himself is completely broke. The goon then says that he is an oracle, so it will be useless if he tries to escape. He tells him that if he wants to live, then he should just follow his orders and empty his pockets. Hearing this, our boy says to him that he sure is really rude, and in a single strike he suddenly knocks the leader out cold. The other two get pissed that he knocked the leader out because he was not being careful, so both of them dash straight towards him to shank him. Suddenly, wooden crates fall on both of them, and a mysterious girl quickly grabs our boy's hand and orders him to come with her. Both of them flee from there and reach a hidden safe place. Joe thanks her for her help, but in reality, it is just a nuisance for him because after beating the two guys, he was planning to question them. The girl acts like she already knows our boy and asks him what he is doing here. After saying that, she suddenly panics because she remembers she has to lay low. He questions her if he actually knows her, but she changes the topic by saying that she just read his name on his collar. After noticing the name tag, he removes it right away. He thinks it is a good thing that the girl doesn't know him, because he never realized his name had been written on his collar all along. He thanks her for telling him this, while she is just glad that she didn't reveal her true identity. She advises him to hide his information properly because this area is really dangerous, and then says that she will get him out of here. But our boy refuses her offer because he is here to make some money. He decides that he should walk away because if she finds out he is a student, then he will be in deep trouble. When Joe leaves, she thinks that she definitely knows who he is, and wonders what a student is even doing in the Miracle Zone. When she touched him, she got a strange feeling, due to which she thinks that he has already become an oracle. Meanwhile, our boy buys a mask to cover his face so his identity doesn't get leaked anywhere. When he is thinking that he hasn't found any way to make money, a stranger approaches him and tells him that he is the local tour guide and he can answer all the questions he has. Hearing that, our boy is intrigued and asks him if he knows about a place where he can make some quick money. The guide is really happy because he thinks that he has increased the head count by 1 and proudly tells our boy to follow him. He takes Joe to a fighting arena where he asks if this is an underground fight club. The guide says that he is right, and this is the most efficient way to make fast cash. He explains that today the winner will get the prize money, along with a specific amount of money from the placed bets. He says that oracles also join these fights, so these matches are high risk, high reward. After taking a look at the ongoing fight, he thinks that he definitely has a chance to win it all. The guide asks our boy if he wants to take part, because he can get him betting chips. He tells him that he will take his chance at the prize money anyway. Following our boy, the mysterious girl also enters the fight club and starts to look for him. Suddenly, she sees our boy standing inside the ring and wonders what he is doing here. The ugly guy is acting all high and mighty in front of Joe, saying that he is a seated fighter, but our boy knocks him out in a single strike. The crowd thinks that this is boring, because every fighter is being knocked out in a single punch. Our boy thinks that he should end this as soon as possible, and he also deals with the next two fighters right after. Seeing these fights, the club boss gets all confused, because he only let him fight since he looked weak. The lackey tells him that after watching all these fights, all the fighters have forfeited, and the customers are demanding refunds because they think all these matches are staged. Immediately, the boss tells his subordinates to arrange a special match, because he isn't going to let him leave with all the prize money. Meanwhile, he defeats his last opponent and asks if now he can have the prize money. The announcer says that the crowd is all excited from these matches, so they have arranged a special match. Our boy thinks that they never planned to hand over the cash prize. On the other hand, the lackeys bring out a trolley to which a monster is attached. The announcer says that the special match will be against the Nifflin, also known as the Freak, and seeing him, Joe is genuinely surprised. The NPCs unbuckle him from the trolley, and the Freak falls on the ground like a dead body. They immediately run out of the ring and lock it tight. Bro just stands there, thinking about what is happening. Suddenly, the Freak wakes up from his sleep and has a really menacing look on his face. A fat guy in the crowd comforts his girl by saying that he can easily beat the monster in a single punch, but in reality, he almost pissed his pants after seeing that beast. The mysterious girl wonders how something like that could even be here. She knows that Joe can't handle it on his own, and she can save him with her abilities, but then her cover will be blown and her plans leaked. Meanwhile, our boy thinks that it's unfortunate that the boss isn't here at such a time, and he is definitely going to have a hard time defeating this monster. When he stares into his eyes, he feels as if he is prey and the monster is the hunter. His sixth sense is screaming at him to get away, because this thing is extremely dangerous. The Freak dashes toward our boy to land a lethal strike, but our boy uses his instincts to dodge the attack, and he would have been dead if he didn't do that. After this, he decides that he has to get serious if he wants to survive. The monster pushes him into a corner, and seeing that, Joe decides that he has to finish this as soon as possible. He borrows strength to increase his level, and he punches the Freak straight into the ground. The monster lies there, and he thinks that the fight is finished, but it suddenly attacks again, which he barely evades. He is astonished that his strongest attack has no effect on it, and he quickly moves away because he knows he cannot defeat it in close quarters. Dashing around in the arena, our boy evades its attacks and looks for a weapon that he can use to defeat the monster. He then breaks the Freak's claw and uses it as a dagger to quickly cut the monster's neck. The cut isn't deep enough to kill it, but now our boy can actually fight back. He knows that he is much stronger than the monster, so he can kill it if he can get close one more time. With that thought, Joe dashes forward, but the monster releases some mysterious gas, which turns out to be just steam. The monster uses this fog as a distraction and attacks our boy from different sides. He can't see a thing inside the fog, and the Freak is using this chance to deal damage to him because it fears that our boy will kill it the moment it makes a single move. Our boy knows that he can't allow this because he will be killed if the time runs out. He decides that he will use all his senses to confirm its location and finally kill it. He concentrates hard and immediately locks onto the location of the monster. After that, he grabs it by the hand and cuts it clean off. This is the chance that our boy needed to land the final blow, and he goes straight for it. But alas, the time is over, and his heart starts to hurt. Meanwhile, the monster uses this chance to disarm him and lashes out with its tongue to deal a lethal blow. Our boy still hasn't given up, and he decides to go past his limits. He again borrows strength and grabs the monster by its tongue. Then he swings it into the air and grabs it by both jaws. He uses all his power to rip the monster open and finally kill it. Meanwhile, the officials watching through the cameras have no idea what they're seeing. The boss asks nervously if the new kid finally went down, but his face quickly turns pale. Inside the arena stands, the white-haired girl stares wide-eyed at Joe, wondering how he even pulled that off. Still gripping the monster's head, he glares straight into the camera, and that death stare alone makes the officials break into a cold sweat. The boss starts panicking, cursing that he spent a fortune bringing in that fighter, only for the boy to crush it like nothing. The announcer scrambles to recover, congratulating Joe and telling him to follow the staff to collect his reward. Sometime later backstage, a briefcase packed with cash sits in front of him. The official explains that it totals around $500,000. He reaches out to grab it, but the boss suddenly slams it shut. With a shady grin, he declares the deal has changed, that either Joe becomes a permanent fighter and gets the full amount, or he walks away with only a quarter. My guy narrows his eyes and demands that he repeat that. The boss snaps, yelling that all the other contestants ran away after that fight, and his prized warrior suffered from sudden head loss disease. Our boy fires back that this wasn't their original deal. He reminds him the terms said that the fighters aren't liable if their opponent dies in the ring. Asking again if that wasn't the agreed condition, Joe's aura alone drains the color from the man's face. Giving off murderous vibes, he demands the full payment, or else there will be consequences. After hearing that, the boss whips out a gun to threaten him, but he doesn't even blink. In one motion, our hero dismantles the weapon and snaps the thug's finger. Screaming in pain, the boss orders his men to fill the kid with bullets. His lackeys instantly draw their guns, ready to fire. He just sighs in annoyance, visibly getting more irritated by the second. Outside, the white-haired girl tenses up as sudden gunfire erupts. A moment later, a man is hurled through the window, flying like an empty soda can. Staring at the unconscious bodyguard on the ground, the crowd wonders if some kind of movie is being filmed. The white-haired girl, however, suspects this chaos is all the handiwork of Joe. Meanwhile, our hero is tearing through the bodyguards without a second thought, unfazed by the fact that they have guns. A bald thug raises his gun to fire, but he slams his head straight through the wall instead. Bursting outside, he bolts with the cash in hand while the thugs upstairs yell orders to capture him. As he sprints through the streets, he realizes he's hitting his limit, and his body is slowing down. His injuries are also slowly draining his strength. Suddenly, a hand grabs onto his hoodie and yanks him into a narrow alley. The girl from before quickly clamps a hand over his mouth as the thugs rush past without noticing. Once the coast clears, she tells him he's safe, and Joe recognizes her face from earlier. She instructs him to save his strength and tells him that she knows of a hidden escape route. Guiding him to a tunnel, she warns that if he doesn't move now, the thugs will seal off the entire district and capture him. He tries to respond, but she cuts him off, telling him to get moving. With no other choice, he thanks her and darts off into the tunnel. After he's gone, she taps on her communicator. On the other end, a voice angrily demands to know where she disappeared. She brushes it off, telling her sister to shut up and put their grandfather on the line, because she found something to report. The scene then shifts back to Joe, who barely manages to stumble into his apartment before collapsing onto the floor. Gasping for air, he clutches his chest, fighting to stay awake. But the moment his body burns through the last of its strength, our boy finally goes down on the ground, unconscious. He drifts into a dream where his mother apologizes for lying about getting better. The truth is harsher that she only has a few years left at most. She tells her son she wanted nothing more than to see him grow, to meet his children someday, to just spend a little more time together. Our hero's mom apologizes again for not having the strength to stay by his side, and she tells him she loves him more than anything in this world. Tears run down his face as our hero is yanked back into reality. His eyes snap open, but he steadies himself and looks at the sunny sky outside the window. Sitting up, he realizes he's still inside Joe Chen's house. Relief washes over him that he's alive even though it was this childhood nightmare that awoke him. Then a voice rings inside his head, asking if he's finally awake, catching him off guard. He then asks the demon where the demon has been these past few days, but the cursed book mutters some excuse about business. Instead, he flips the question back, asking what he did to end up unconscious for 2 days straight. Before he can reply, the demon pieces it together that he snuck into the underground arena, burned too much energy, and went toe-to-toe with a monster. Goldfinger explodes, shouting at him for pulling such a reckless stunt. He tries to shrug it off, but the demon keeps at it, warning that his power isn't enough to bring him back a second time. He presses him to value his life more since this is his second shot after all, and he can't waste it. That actually makes Joe smile, and he thanks the demon for watching his back. Goldfinger relaxes a bit, then admits the monster he fought doesn't sound like it came from this world. That thought makes our boy recall the girl he met in that cursed place, but he pushes it aside because right now, leveling up is what matters. Just then, he remembers his reward from last night, and he immediately snaps open the briefcase to reveal those stacks of crisp bills. The demon mocks him for risking his neck over money, but he replies that at least for now, he doesn't have to worry about his debts until after the tournament. Looking down at himself, he says that he has to patch up this injury before heading back to school. Rubbing his head, he groans about how he still has to hit the hospital, the bank, and classes all in the same day. At the hospital, the doctor checks him over and says the wound will heal quickly as long as he keeps it clean. Noticing the speed of recovery, the man asks if our boy happens to be an oracle, to which he says yes. Immediately, the doctor shifts gears and tries to sell him a membership plan. He shoots him down instantly, asking for the normal medicine instead. Feeling relieved that the monster's tongue wasn't poisonous, he watches the doctor hand over some ointment. But as soon as he takes the bottle, he freezes and stares in disbelief. He asks the doctor why the bottle is glowing, but the man just gives him a weird look, insisting it's an ordinary container. My guy doesn't buy it for a second, clearly seeing it shine in his hand. The doctor tries to push the membership deal again, saying the counseling sessions would help with his stress-induced hallucinations, but he ignores the shrink. Out in the corridor, Joe notices the strange flow of energy everywhere. Holding out his hand, he sees it glowing brighter and realizes it must be tied to star energy. Remembering the underground fight, he suspects that battle triggered some kind of awakening. He then smiles, thinking that if he can truly sense star energy now, he can absorb it much more efficiently. Just then, a man walks past radiating a bright green aura, and Joe forces himself to act normal. After the guy passes, he sneaks another look and breaks into a cold sweat, thinking this man's star energy is on another level. The green-haired stranger pauses, sensing something, and wonders if he just got scanned, but then shakes it off. On his communicator, a voice starts blasting him at him, demanding that he track down the alien star immediately. The green-haired man tells the person to calm down, since he plans to stick around the country for a while. The voice pushes back, reminding him that the boss's prophecy marked the alien star as a boss-tier threat, one that needs constant monitoring. Sliding off his sunglasses, the green-haired man smirks and says the boss worries too much. He declares that if the alien star really is their enemy, then he'll crush them without hesitation. The next day at school, the principal starts scolding our boy for skipping both classes and his calls. He apologizes and says he got caught up in some personal matters. The principal softens his tone, showing more concern than anger, but he reassures him and asks if this is about the tournament. The old man shakes his head and explains that he has full confidence in him for the tournament. Instead, he asks if the school can help him out if he is in real trouble. He reminds our boy that the school's top priority is to help support elite oracles. Joe smiles and tells him not to worry, promising to give his all in the tournament, which finally puts the principal at ease. A little later, Shen and Sue rush over to catch up with him, asking what went down. Shen remembers our boy mentioning a combat technique before, and then digs through his pockets. Pulling out a credit card, he explains that they managed to pool together $300,000 for him, which he can always pay back later. Hearing that, he freezes in surprise after realizing how seriously the two had taken his words. He thanks them, but admits he's changed his mind about getting that technique. Just then, Wenhao appears, looking unusually shy, and offers $50,000 as an apology for his earlier behavior. Our hero thanks him for the thought, while Sue starts interrogating the redhead, asking if he has some shady ulterior motive. Wenhao admits he only wanted to make up for calling Joe a fraud and now hopes they can be friends. Sue leans in and whispers to him, asking if they should let the guy join, and he shrugs, saying he doesn't mind. Sue then turns to Wenhao and asks if he's fine being the fourth member, and he replies that ranking doesn't matter to him. Shen instantly tries to boss him around, telling him to fetch a water bottle, which sparks a heated discussion between the two. Joe just smiles, realizing he's found some solid friends. The scene then fast-forwards to him running on a treadmill, recalling that oracles absorb more energy during physical training. However, the absorption rate turns out painfully slow. Even with the training gear strapped on, most of the energy still leaks out. Joe figures, this must be the reason so many people never move past level 1 and tells himself he needs a better method fast. That's when Shen steps in and suggests a duel match, claiming it works far better than boring solo training. It suddenly clicks for our hero that Shen might be onto something since he did awaken his new ability during that fight. With that thought, he orders Shen to gather everyone. Moments later, Shen and Sue launch a combined attack against him. He fends them off, feeling satisfied with the results, before telling the two to rest. He points out they've been going at it for over an hour already while Shen and Sue gasp for air. Sue admits she thought he was joking when he mentioned a one-on-two spar, and Shen adds this training method is insanely effective. He then looks over at Wenhao, saying it's his turn now, and the redhead smirks, more than ready to dive in. Watching the group, Joe concludes the theory is correct, since everyone's absorption rate is soaring and they'll be leveling up faster than ever. As for himself, with a naturally high absorption rate, he can push the test further. In this world, supplements are diluted to keep them safe, but even then, people with poor absorption barely benefit from using them at all. By contrast, the Borrow Power skill is 100 times more concentrated than any supplement, and if he absorbs it recklessly, his body would literally explode. But if he could control the flow and take it in slowly, then leveling up at insane speed might actually be possible. With that gamble in mind, Joe activates the skill, immediately unleashing heavy waves of aura. The raw force of the energy catches him off guard, but it makes sense, since the ability allows him to boost 2 levels in one shot. Tensing himself, he forces the energy into a thin, controlled stream and starts absorbing it. His body locks up under the strain, every muscle screaming from the overwhelming pressure. Focusing all his willpower, Joe notes how quickly the energy fills him up, faster than anything he has ever felt. Then panic hits and his body feels like it's about to burst apart. Seeing no other choice, he points his hand upward and releases the overflow. Energy blasts out in waves, forcing his friends to shield themselves from the crushing pressure. They can't believe what they're witnessing, muttering in shock over how Joe suddenly turned this overpowered. That's when Goldfinger appears because he is drawn by the disturbance. The demon freezes at the sight before him. Joe, drenched in sweat, calmly tells him he managed to absorb the power. The demon can hardly believe that the boy pulled it off and then wonders aloud if Joe really is his long-awaited soulmate. He asks the boss if he said something, but the boss changes the topic by saying that he is just happy our boy is not dead. After hearing all the commotion, the coach comes running and asks what happened, and Sue tells him that Joe is the one who released all that energy. The coach is surprised to see the amount of star energy, and he immediately tells the assistants to bring the measurement device. After measuring our hero's power, they come to know that he has already become a level 3 oracle. At first, the coach cannot believe his eyes, but then he rushes toward the principal's office to tell him about this, because he is the first level 3 oracle that the school has seen in a very long time. Meanwhile, Sue asks him how he can level up so quickly, and asks him to teach her the method. He tells her that it is because of all the training he has been doing, and he decides that next time he will do this in private, so he doesn't cause unnecessary trouble. Hearing this, all 3 of them get excited, and they increase the intensity of their practice. On the other hand, our boy asks the boss why he did not get angry with him this time. He says that now he has gotten used to it. Goldfinger can use all his powers if he just wants to level up quickly, because he needs Joe to get stronger. But he tells the demon he has no need to worry. He's been storing a mountain of star energy, and once he settles into this new strength, he's going to level up again. Simple as that. The boss hears this and goes completely silent. Time moves fast and the competition comes closer, and our hero trains like an absolute unit until finally, the big day is here. The whole squad is buzzing when they step into the venue. Sue gets excited because she can't believe she actually made it here, and says that her mom would be proud. Shen's flexing some knowledge, pointing out that this year has the biggest crowd of participants so far. Wenhao cuts in and asks him if he's ready for the level 4 bracket. The guy is salty that he didn't level up in time to join, but Joe just shrugs. The principal's words still echo in his head that you should give it your all, and if things get too messy, just forfeit. No shame in living to fight again. Since the arenas for level 3 and level 4 are split, the 3 of them part ways, leaving him to prep on his own. Meanwhile, the principal and coach roll into the VIP area, looking around like kids in a candy shop. The coach chuckles, saying this is the kind of luxury they've been waiting on, all thanks to their school finally sending a fighter into the level 4 bracket today. Suddenly, Principal Wang shows up and congratulates the principal on making 2 high-level students in just a few months. The principal acts humbly and says it has nothing to do with him. It is all because of the students' hard work. He only helped them meet their needs. He also thanks Wang for his help, because he gave him all the key information about the competition. After the Reformation, the government announced grants for the winning schools, and because of these grants, the difficulty of the tournament will also rise. Suddenly, an arrogant guy says that a hillbilly has forced his way into the VIP lounge and is causing all this commotion. The principal wants to give him a reply, but Wang stops him and says not to mess with them because they are all principals of schools who have already won this competition before. The principal says that is all in the past, and no one really knows who will win this competition. The white-haired guy tells Hu to enjoy this scene for the first and last time so he can remember it clearly. The coach asks the principal if the students will be fine because they are taking part in such a high-level competition for the very first time. Hu then asks the coach what he thinks about his students. He answers that all of them are talented, and Joe is a prodigy who is much more talented than any genius. The principal tells him that they just have to believe the students. In the stands, the class is cheering for Joe, but she is worried about him, and she is really nervous because she has come here for the very first time. At first, she could not believe that our boy was taking part in the competition, but now she is here cheering for him. A week ago at the school, she was thinking that Joe had become the rising star of the academy. She could not meet him anymore, because now he would not bother with anyone from the lower class. While thinking all this, she is about to crash to the floor, but our hero shows up and catches her just in time. He asks her if she is okay, and she thanks him, then asks what he is doing here. He tells her that he saw her, so he came over to say hi. She admits that she thinks now he is an elite and will never meet with anyone from the lower class. He tells her that friends are forever, and no matter what happens, they cannot be changed. Hearing this, she feels happy and thinks that Joe has not changed at all, and he can win the tournament for sure. The announcer declares that the contestants are coming to the stage, and the class representative gets all excited after seeing our boy walk out with the others. The announcer says he welcomes everyone to this year's exchange competition, and this event will be hosted by him and his partner Lillian. Hearing that name, the crowd goes absolutely wild, because she is one of the most famous idols in the entire country. The diva says that she is here to work hard, and today she is just an ordinary announcer, because the contestants are the real stars of this competition. After that, the announcer explains the rules that from 12 academies there are 48 contestants, 16 in the level 4 bracket, and the rest of 32 in the level 3 bracket. He says that the hall is for the level 4 bracket only, and the rankings will be based on scores from both brackets, which will later be converted into points. The contestants will face each other one by one, and the winner will move on. He will then face the winner of the other match until there is only one fighter remaining. The time limit is 30 minutes, and the match ends when one contestant either surrenders or has no ability left to fight. Lillian says that the rules for this year's tournament are much tougher, but there is no need to worry, and tells everyone to look at the very top of the pillar. The crowd gets all excited when they see the S-rank celebrity Bai Yue sitting in the hall. To show off his dominating power, he casually shakes the floor with just a finger. The announcer explains that the master has set up this special ring, which protects the audience from stray attacks, so he can also repair the ring instantly after each match. He also tells the contestants to wear the gems, because they act as contestant certification, and can also protect them in dangerous conditions. Everyone is whispering that an S rank is truly terrifying, and our boy thinks that his power is almost equal to Gojo. The dude looks so carefree about everything that he doesn't even feel nervous. The idol says that the results will be displayed on the gems, and she officially announces that the competition now begins. The very first match ends in just 17 minutes, and the winner is Xiao Ran. The principal says he cannot believe that an S-rank oracle is personally overseeing the tournament, which means this year's matches are going to be incredibly challenging. Principal Wang says that it's all because of the difference between level 4 and level 3, since level 4 oracles already have complete mastery over their fighting techniques. The famous schools are so wealthy that buying C-rank techniques is basically an everyday routine for them. The only reason they are always able to win the tournament is that they use the grant money to provide their contestants with the best potions and fighting techniques. But this year, things are about to completely change. The fifth match is between Lan Qin and Li Zhe, and in it Qin is toying with her opponent by dodging every one of his attacks. Then she uses an ability-based fighting technique and restrains her opponent before she lands the finishing blow and wins the match. The crowd gets all excited watching this, and many people think that she is secretly using some kind of magic. Seeing that, the principal is all shocked because this kind of ability can only be obtained by a superior ranked oracle. Principal Wang feels proud and says that she is a prodigy who managed to obtain this ability at a younger age. Principal Ao tells him it does not matter even if she has such an ability, but Wang taunts him by asking him why he tried to recruit her if that is true. Principal Li replies that it is just an early awakening and nothing more. In the sixth match, Wang does not even allow his opponent to attack and ends the match in just 5 seconds. Seeing that, the crowd thinks that the Blazing Oracle will most likely win this year's tournament as well. The other principal believes that no one can be compared to the student who is personally taught by Principal Li. To show off, Li says that barking dogs don't bite, but Wang tells him to wait and watch instead. Hu thinks this battle is completely out of their league because they are so low ranked that even qualifying for this tournament is already a miracle. He can hold his head high if Joe wins a single match, or at least just puts on a show. After the end of the 7th match, our hero is the next contestant and wonders what kind of fighter his opponent will be. Goldfinger tells him to borrow his powers and finish the match quickly, but he says that if he does that, he will catch everyone's attention, and he could get into real trouble if he is investigated. On his way towards the ring, he meets Qin. She tells him that he is unlucky to be in the last match because his opponent is one of the strongest, and his fighting technique is so powerful that not even a D-rank oracle can completely endure it. Our boy asks if it is not dangerous to use such a powerful technique in the low-ranked matches. Qin explains to him that the gemstone can block one deadly attack, but still, he will take a lot of damage because this is the bitter reality of the competition. With that said, he asks why she is helping him, and she tells him that they are allies because they share the same goal, that is, to beat up all the arrogant fools. Before leaving, she says that she was hoping he would help her, but since his opponent is so powerful, it would be great if he can at least exhaust him a little. Hearing that, he begins to wonder if his opponent is really as strong as she makes him sound. Finally, the last match of the first round is about to start, and the crowd cheers loudly as our boy enters the ring. He thinks that this feels like a warm welcome, but in reality those cheers are for contestant Lei, who makes an entrance like a dropout from the Avengers. The announcer says that no one expected the last match would feature Lei Che. He became an Oracle at only 12 years old, and in just 4 years he advanced into a level 4 Oracle. He has also received a national certificate along with a guild invitation. It would not be wrong if someone called him the best fighter of this new era. Seeing him enter the ring, the crowd goes completely wild and starts cheering for him. The class rep gets worried because not a single person is cheering for our boy. A random guy in the crowd tells her that Lei has so many fans because he is both strong and handsome. On the contrary, his opponent just looks like a random guy with a bad temper. Hearing him say that, she replies that she is supporting Joe because he is a genuinely kind and gentle boy. After that, the two of them start to argue, and everyone around them begins to wonder what exactly is going on. Everyone is excited to see how the genius will perform in this match, and whether he can even beat the undefeated Lianguang Academy. The announcer says that the match will begin now, but Lillian interrupts him by asking if he forgot to introduce one of the fighters. He quickly apologizes and admits that he forgot in all the excitement. After that, he introduces Joe as the star from Lady Oracle Academy, and that this is the first time that his academy is taking part in the competition. Other than that, he does not have anything else notable about him. That makes him wonder if the school should have at least bought him a technique before the tournament began. The crowd starts talking badly about him, and thinking how someone like him could ever put up a fight against a genius. The bandana guy bursts into laughter and loudly taunts the class rep. Meanwhile, Principal Wu says to the principal that it is quite unfortunate they have to face their academy's rising star in their very first year, but they should not worry, because it will all end quickly. Wang tells Hu that everyone has to start from somewhere, so he just needs to ignore him and stay calm. Inside the ring, Lei tells him that he feels bad for him, because in his very first tournament, he has to face him. But Bro tells him to pay close attention to the fight. Suddenly dashes towards our boy and reaches right by his side. He says that he will start this match by only using 10% of his total power, because even if he loses his first fight, he can still look at least a little bit decent. Lei thinks he is acting all nice, but he is annoyed since he has already told him once to fight normally. Just then, the announcer says that the genius cannot hold back his enthusiasm, and announces that the final match of the first round now officially begins. With that, Lei uses his speed to attack our boy, and he is moving so fast that it looks like he used Shadow Clone Jutsu to make multiple copies of himself. On top of that, all of them attack at the same exact time. Every contestant watching thinks that it is going to be extremely difficult to beat the genius, and Principal Wu thinks that no one can possibly beat him. The genius thinks that our boy is not moving because he cannot see him, and he believes the only one who could ever give him a hard time is Wang. Thinking that this is finally the end, he gets ready to deal the finishing blow. But when he gets close, Joe asks him if he is not going to dodge, before he savagely punches him right in the face. Seeing that, everyone is shocked at how this can even happen. Our boy actually countered Lei's attack and landed a punch in an instant. The genius can usually dodge any attack with his speed, but the main question now is whether he was just careless, or if he actually failed to dodge. Everyone in the crowd begins to think that our boy has used some kind of hack, because no one else can ever hit the genius. Seeing that, he wonders if he broke some kind of hidden rule saying who can land the first hit. Wang says to the principal that his student clearly has some impressive skill. Principal Wu says that he must be cheating because no one is faster than Lei, but the principal replies that if they were cheating, then the higher-ups would have already caught them. Principal Li tells him to shut up because he is setting a very bad example with the whining and yapping. He suggests they should quietly watch the match because it is not over just yet. At that moment, the Pikachu also calls out, insisting he is not done yet. He admits he did not take Joe seriously before, and now swears to go all out. Lightning coils around him as he charges another strike, shouting that his powers are barely under control. Lei continues to summon even more bolts, but our boy stands calm, not even blinking. He finds it almost amusing that Lei has this much star energy packed inside him. Suddenly, a flash of yellow lightning shoots past Joe, catching him by surprise. The guy deflects against the barrier and bounces around the arena like a hyperactive pinball, gaining speed with every strike. The announcer shouts that Lei is about to unleash his trump card, while Lillian keeps on adding useless fillers. Lei grins, convinced he already has the win secured, and dives from above to deliver a supercharged kick. Our boy does not bother to dodge or defend. Instead, he calmly throws a single punch straight into Lei's face. The combined momentum of his charge sends Lei crashing uncontrollably across the arena floor. Joe calls out to him that he should have attacked earlier when he still had a shot at victory. The announcer then declares that Pikachu is down again. This time the stone shifts red, confirming that the Pokémon is unable to battle. While the announcer celebrates Joe's victory, he wonders briefly if Lei will be alright, though the stone should have prevented anything fatal. The crowd erupts, stunned by how fast the match ended. With Lei defeated, Qin enters for the second quarterfinal match and secures the win without breaking a sweat. Next is Wang, who crushes his opponent easily without breaking a sweat. The crowd finds the Beast's strength to be unstoppable, yet most eyes drift back to Zhou. The messy hair kid then gives them a death stare that makes the whole section freeze with fear. In the fourth match, Ran from another Oracle school faces our boy and puts up a fierce fight. However, Zhou dodges every strike with veteran-like precision. He ends the fight with a light punch to Ran's head, sending him crashing to the ground. Watching from above, the officials comment that our boy has yet to use any combat technique, relying only on raw energy control. One of them wonders he may be hiding his true level, or worse, using drugs, which would be a serious violation of the tournament rules. Back in the arena, the announcer starts hyping the semifinals, calling Zhou up against another fighter, Liu. He freezes mid-sentence as officials in dark suits walk onto the stage. The audience whispers in confusion, wondering who they are. One inspector orders our hero to wear special equipment and release his star energy. The crowd realizes these are tournament inspectors and begin buzzing, suspecting Zhou is being accused of cheating. The boy starts sweating that he might have gone a little too far and makes a note to limit his powers. The inspectors read the results, which says the readings are stable and within limits. They then announce to the crowd that the contestant isn't cheating. They then step away, and the announcer then shouts in disbelief that our hero is officially confirmed as level 4, and the semifinal is cleared to begin. The crowd processes this for a moment and then goes wild that our hero is actually legit. Across the stage, Liu starts to shake and his face pale as the realization hits him. When the match begins, it ends instantly as Zhou knocks him out cold with one decisive strike. The announcer nearly loses his voice screaming into the mic, while Lillian continues to add useless fillers. Up in the stands, Principal Wang turns to our principal, praising him for producing such a monster of a student. The guy smugly accepts all the remarks, and the other principals who once mocked him rush over to praise him too. He smiles politely, though the attention makes him a bit uncomfortable. On the other side, Li and Yu watch with clear annoyance, irritated by the sudden crowd of bootlickers. Our principal allows himself a proud smile, thinking Zhou truly kept his promise and upheld the honor of their school. Back on the arena floor, the last semifinal is called, and Qin walks up the stage with tense determination. Across from her, Wang steps forward, his eyes gleaming with a predator's hunger, as if he has just spotted his next prey. Qin's juniors roar encouragement from the stands, distracting the beast for a split second. She spots the gap in his guard and launches forward, charging up her strike. With flowing cloud hand, she slams the attack into his chest. Hang doesn't stumble, only looks mildly irritated, and then stares her down. Her confidence starts crumbling as panic seeps in, realizing the hit barely scratched him. Wang clamps her wrist with ease, asking if she honestly thinks she's talented. Qin snaps back, telling him to beat it, and drives her elbow into his face. He doesn't even blink, and says that he finds this situation to be hilarious. Desperation fuels her next move as she charges another blast and binds him tight with her magic until he looks like a mummy. She then uses wind-style kicking and pounds his wrapped body with relentless strikes. For a moment, she relaxes a bit, convinced that all her blows landed and must have done some damage. That hope shatters instantly as Wang suddenly stands behind her like a ghost, draining the blood from her face. She tries to turn around in disbelief, wondering how he moved so fast, but it's already too late. He drives his fist into her using his blood rage arts and sends her flying into the barrier, cracking open. As the shards scatter, Qin drops to her knees, barely able to breathe while the announcer states that Wang now holds the upper hand. Her juniors turn their tearful eyes away as they can't bear the sight of her getting absolutely decimated. Principal Wang grinds his fists together, silently begging his star student to push through. Qin remains motionless as she stares at the red tag lying beside her. Her voice trembles as she whispers that she can't afford to lose. The sight of the red tag then pulls her into a flashback at school, where she walked into a room buzzing with worried students. One girl who was crying told her that if the academy shut down, she'd be forced to drop out despite her dream of becoming an oracle. She then puts her arms around the two girls in a reassuring hug, promising not to let that happen. Qin swore back then that she would win the tournament to bring the academy the funds it needed to stay open. Though the black-haired girl doesn't look convinced, Qin insisted she had never gone back on her word. The girl then rummaged in her pocket and pulled out a red charm, handmade for luck. That moment warmed Qin's heart, and she promised to fight with everything she had. Back in the present, she reaches toward the charm, whispering again that she made a promise. Wang doesn't care, and stomps on the good luck charm without any care, mocking if this is all she amounts to. He then kicks her brutally, while his hands stay buried in his pockets. Her crystal turns red and she falls unconscious, but Wang keeps on taunting her. The announcer yells that the fight is over, yet the beast raises his foot again, ready to crush her. The crowd starts panicking and the announcer screams for someone to stop him. Spectators stare in horror, wondering what the monster plans to do. Principal Wang's voice cracks as he begs for someone to save his student. One official demands Master Bai act, but the guy remains calm, claiming the situation is under control. Meanwhile, Wang smashes his foot down with savage force, carving a crater in the arena. However, his eyes go wide and he realizes his target is gone. Our hero now stands there with Qin in his arms, having saved her in time. He calls the beast out, asking if this is the kind of bullying his school teaches. Wang spins around, fury raging in his eyes, and screams out Zhou's name. The announcer cries out in relief, declaring that our boy rescued Qin just in time. Principal Wang rushes forward to hold his injured student, thanking the heavens for her survival. The crowd grows restless as they are unable to believe that the beast actually tried to end her after she lost. Wang doesn't care, and walks toward our hero, boldly declares that he'll unalive anyone who dares block his path. That arrogance finally lights a fire in Zhou. Our boy gives him a death stare of his own, and dares the beast to take his shot. The doctors on duty wheel the girl away while the announcer urges the staff to quickly reset the arena for the next fight. Up in the stands, our boy's friends gather with the class rep. Shen asks how things look so far, and she replies that Zhou has already made it to the finals, though she admits something feels off about the opponent. Our principal's friend warns our boy to be careful and then shouts at our hero not to underestimate who he's up against. Fired up, Zhou assures him there's no need to worry. In the arena, Wang mocks our hero for actually thinking he stands a chance, but he fires back that the guy runs his mouth too much. He smirks and asks if the beast is really here to fight or just keep yapping. As both sides square off, their auras flare wildly, turning it into an energy standoff. The announcer declares the match officially begun. Wang wastes no time, launching a sudden punch, but our hero tanks it like it's nothing, his body not even budging. The beast smirks, taunting that he thought Zhou would be tougher, but our boy instantly claps back that he stole the words right out of his mouth, leaving the guy sweating buckets. Bro digs in harder, asking if this is really the level of someone who won the previous tournament. He then goes in for a grab, but Wang barely manages to dodge. Wang activates his Blood Rage skill, charging up his fist as the two of them start hammering away at each other at full speed, neither willing to give an inch. The announcer shouts in disbelief that he has never seen a level 4 fighter brawl this ferociously before. Even Zhou's classmates sit stunned, realizing that our boy has been holding back during all their sparring matches. Back inside the arena, Zhou plants a massive uppercut straight into Wang's jaw. His teacher and principal stare wide-eyed, struggling to believe their own student is this strong. Blood sprays from Wang's mouth as he wonders how a powerhouse like him could be forced this far back. That thought only fuels his rage, and he pushes his ability even higher. Goldfinger then appears, pointing out that the guy is literally forcing star energy into his body to jack up his strength. In the next instant, Wang vanishes in a flash, but Zhou keeps up with his movements. He then prepares an elbow strike and thinks to himself that speed is useless against his perception skill. Meanwhile, in the control room, an official nervously asks the master if they should check Wang's level since it's rising abnormally fast. Calm as ever, he explains that this is just his family's blood rage arts pushing him up by one level, so it isn't cheating. Then he admits that the real curiosity lies with our boy who still hasn't gone all out, and the master can't help but wonder how far this kid can go. Back in the ring, the two fighters keep throwing rapid punches like two crackheads fighting for a french fry. Zhou's friends watch with their nerves on edge, Shen shouting that our hero is getting pushed back. The redhead quickly corrects him, saying Zhou is actually deflecting the beast's punches perfectly. In the arena, our hero stays locked in, dodging and weaving through blow after blow, looking for his opening. Then Zhou finally retaliates with a crushing punch that forces the beast to block with everything he has. The impact alone cracks the floor and sends Wang skidding back a little. Our boy slams in another heavy shot, and Wang then says that Zhou is the first fighter to push him this far. Fueled by pride and rage, he powers his blood arts up even more, screaming that he's still the strongest. Unshaken, our hero taunts him right back, asking if that's all he has to offer. Then he activates the Borrow Power skill, and his level starts increasing too. The two powerhouses square off again, their fists already itching for more. Zhou realizes he can now clearly read his opponent's attack pattern. Using his perception skills, he also notices the beast's weak spot is his heart. Wasting no time, our boy drives an elbow right into the guy's chest, making the beast's eyes go wide in shock. The blow knocks the air straight out of him, but Zhou isn't finished yet. He immediately follows up with another attack, forcing Wang on the defensive. The beast blocks punch after punch, each one heavier than the last, while thinking in disbelief that our hero's speed and power are still climbing. The guy refuses to accept defeat and pushes his blood arts past its limits. Our boy then declares that the fight is already decided and charges his fist with pure star energy. Wang screams for him to die and sends a massive punch of his own. Their fists collide, sparking a huge explosion that blasts shockwaves across the arena. Spectators throw up their arms, shielding themselves from the violent blast. The principal is glued to the battle, frantically demanding to know what just happened. As the smoke clears, the announcer shouts that Wang is still standing. But in the very next instant, the beast collapses and his crystal falls to the ground, which is now red. The last one left standing is none other than our boy. With that, Lyta School officially claims first place in the Level 4 category as well as the entire championship. Joe's friends start celebrating hard, screaming that they finally won the tournament. His teacher and the principal also cheer for him, shouting that he made their school proud. Tears stream down the principal's face as he declares they won't have to beg for money anymore, while his teacher deadpans at his dramatic reaction. The same principals who were mocking him earlier now rush forward to congratulate him, shamelessly sucking up to save face. Meanwhile, Wang's principal is fuming at the humiliation, and even last year's runner-up principal is left unsure of what to do. Much to Principal Lee's surprise, his supposed ally abandons him completely and bolts without looking back. Master Bai decides to take his leave as well, since the tournament has wrapped up, and the official thanks him sincerely for his efforts. On his way out, Bai's eyes suddenly narrow when he spots two unfamiliar figures watching from the side. He instantly wonders if they're here to scout Joe. An old man murmurs to the girl next to him that he never expected such a backwater school to produce such a monster. He asks if she can bring our hero into their guild. The girl, Lin, admits they were childhood friends, but now Joe doesn't even recognize her. Even so, she swears she'll use everything she has to recruit him. Back inside the arena, the winning team stands lined up proudly on stage. Cameras flash as the principal promotes Lyta School live, milking the victory. Our hero smiles for the photos while he thinks this feels harder than the actual fight. The next day, the principal pulls him aside and admits he owes him a massive favor for carrying the win. True to his word, he hands Joe the black crystal, which makes the demon super excited. Still, the principal warns him that major Oracle academies will come calling now, and reminds him not to forget where he came from. After their talk, our hero steps outside the office, only to immediately run into his friends. They greet him happily, with papers in their hands despite it being summer break. Shen throws an arm around him and explains that every top academy sent them admission letters early, and they've all been accepted. Our boy congratulates them one by one, but they insist the real credit belongs to him. Shen then gets serious, declaring boldly that together they'll become the greatest team in the future, which leaves our hero a little confused. Sue quickly explains that even though they'll attend different academies, they can still meet up and stick together. Joe just smirks, saying he's looking forward to it since he'd be bored out of his mind otherwise. As they walk, he adds that he'll definitely need their help when he has to train to become stronger. Suddenly, another figure steps out from the corner, catching them all off guard. The class rep looks straight at them with determination and asks if she can join the gang too, because she wants to grow stronger right alongside them. The class rep gets starry-eyed when she finally steps into the elite classroom. She thanks our hero for his help, but he brushes it off, saying it was the principal. Liu then also thanks the principal, who replies that he's happy to help. He adds that he plans to make these facilities available to everyone, with many more changes coming in the future. After winning the competition, the principal finally has the funds to do what he wants, all thanks to his students. He then praises everyone for their efforts, while the gang jokes that all these changes are happening right after they leave. Sue asks the class rep why she's training so hard, even though it's vacation time and there's no competition. She shares her backstory, admitting that she never thought she was any good, but she got fired up after seeing everyone work so hard. She continues that she wants to apply as a special cultural student, which still has a 1-month deadline, making the pink-haired girl cry. Sue then grabs the class rep's hand and promises to help in any way she can. Shen asks Joe what he plans to do and if he's decided on a school yet. He reveals that he hasn't received a letter yet, which catches everyone off guard since they all got theirs instantly from the 5 major academies. The principal clears his throat and calls out to our hero, saying he has something to tell him. He hands him a red envelope and explains that it arrived just recently. Shen sighs in relief, saying he knew there was no way our boy got duped. Joe reads the letter carefully and says out loud that it's from Dawn Academy. Everyone is shocked at the name, and the blonde yells out that it's the academy sitting on top of the chain. Our boy asks him to explain, so he goes into story mode. He explains that there are 5 major academies that serve as symbols of authority and strength. However, one stands above all, the Dawn Academy, which has the authority to poach any student they want. Joe then asks why there aren't 6 academies instead of 5. The principal replies that the true value of that academy can't be measured, and all of them were built to combat the rift. He gets serious as he says the information is strictly confidential, but agrees to tell them anyway. You see, the rift is another dimension filled with overpowered monsters. If they manage to escape into the real world, all hell will break loose. That's why envoys are sent in to eradicate those monsters whenever these portals appear. Although clearing a rift is extremely profitable, the risk is far too great. The man reveals that he was once part of a rift clearing squad. However, it only took the death of one key member to throw the entire team into chaos, and it was ultimately disbanded. Even though other academies also require students to clear rifts, Dawn is just built different, so he warns him to think carefully. The principal reassures Joe that other academies are still open for him to enter, and that he shouldn't risk his life. However, he has already made up his mind and says he'll join Dawn. The big man smiles like he already knew the answer and comments that he will definitely reach new heights. Shen throws his arm around him and says they will grow stronger together, so the rift will be a piece of cake for all of them. The blonde then notices that the deadline is only 10 days away, while normally it lasts about half a year, making our hero sweat. Our hero tells them that he has to prepare and can't train the class rep, but the gang reassures him that they'll manage. Returning to his apartment, he starts making a list of everything. Just then, the demon book appears and makes the crystal float in front of it. Extending an arm, it touches the crystal and absorbs something from it. The black crystal falls to the ground and shatters, making our hero nearly have a heart attack. Shu is heartbroken and whines that he wanted to exchange the crystal for money. Goldfinger tells him to let it go since it's useless now, and instead asks how the school visit went. He reveals that he got accepted into Dawn Academy, a perfect place to earn money and get stronger. The only problem is that he will have to raid rifts. The demon book tells him that rifts are nothing to fear since star energy originates from there. Our hero then changes the topic and asks if there's any reward since one of his wishes has already been fulfilled. Goldfinger gets a bit angry that he's being treated like a wishing well, but agrees to help out since the rifts are tied to his own wishes. He tells Joe to endure it and releases dark energy toward him. Our hero absorbs the dark aura, and the system informs him that he's unlocked the ability Divine Creation. The power reshapes his entire body as he bears through the pain and reaches level 6. Once the process completes, our boy asks what just happened. The system explains that he now has the power to create anything using his energy. Goldfinger reveals that the ability once belonged to his old friend, Sato, and that it can literally create anything. The rewards from before are nothing compared to this one. He wonders if this is just some fancy way of leveling up, but Goldfinger scolds him, saying levels aren't everything. The demon explains that levels only affect one's basic physique. The first awakening at D rank truly determines a person's future, which is why he gave Joe this skill to avoid awakening something completely useless. Just then, it hits him that Chin had an ability type awakening too, and that normal combat skills pale in comparison to it. He then fully realizes that entering a rift takes more than brute strength. Goldfinger tells him the skill's power depends entirely on the user's mindset and urges him to test it out already. Chu notes that after the remodeling, he can no longer feel star energy being absorbed. Even the system panel now looks like a video game interface. Looking at his stats, he wonders if there's a shop feature, but to his disappointment, it's locked. A bunch of other functions are also locked until he levels up. He then checks the level up screen, which gives him several side missions, but he doesn't have enough soul points to start. Goldfinger asks what's taking him so long, and Joe explains that he'll need to enter the rift to level up, but he's not strong enough yet. The demon book starts complaining that our hero is turning out to be pretty useless. Just then, a new system panel pops up in front of Joe, announcing that another wish has just been completed. His body begins to glow as he receives a new reward, Mage Armor. The equipment is of unique grade and can summon armor around his body to block attacks. He is thrilled since it not only boosts his defense but also increases strength. Goldfinger tears up a little, saying he used up all the power he had stored, but tells Joe to do his best from here on. The next day, the principal asks him why he's leaving so early. Joe explains that even though it's only a day's journey, he wants to arrive ahead of time. He then hands the principal a note, asking him to give it to his sister at the hospital and keep an eye on her. The man says our hero should do it himself, but he explains that the situation is complicated and he can't meet her right now. Not prying further, the principal brushes the topic aside and agrees to do it, while everyone wishes Joe well on his journey. With that, he waves them goodbye and sets off for his destination. At the airport, the receptionist asks why he wants a visa and a flight ticket to the city's mid-level area. Our boy replies that he got an admission, which she finds odd since it's still summer vacation. She asks for proof, and he hands her Dawn Academy's card. Her eyes go wide as she realizes what it is, thinking that she has never seen one in her entire career. She then stares at him in disbelief while he just looks confused. He asks if she also needs the admission letter, but she quickly apologizes and says the card is more than enough. He's surprised that he doesn't even need a ticket, and she explains that someone of his status only needs one for the return flight. Sometime later, Joe is lounging in his first-class seat, wondering if this is also one of Dawn's privileges. Looking out the window, he hopes that Dawn Academy lives up to his expectations and enjoys the rest of the flight. Reaching the Dawnbreaker Academy, our boy feels odd as the environment is calm. He heads to the reception desk for registration, and when the receptionist finds out that it's Joe Chen, he gladly offers to take him to the school himself as someone was waiting for him. Bro is shook as he didn't expect himself to be important enough to be waited for. The receptionist leads him to a stone monument, instructing him to place his card on it. Despite the confusion, Joe does as he was asked. The next thing he knows, they're teleported straight to the academy grounds. The experience leaves him speechless. Soon after, the receptionist brings him to the person who's been waiting, a beautiful girl with long white hair, Lin N. She wonders if our guy remembers her. He admits that he does, and that he's been hoping for a chance to thank her. To his surprise, she turns out to be his senior. Once the receptionist takes his leave, Joe wonders why Lin En seems so eager to meet him. Before he can approach, Kui Ming Chung steps in front of him, blocking his way. Lin En frowns and tells Kui sharply to be respectful to their guest. Lin En invites him for a conversation, but Joe asks to cut it short. So, she proposed an offer to him to join her guild, and the price she offered is 30 million. Hearing the price, Joe's mind is blown. Even Kui Ming Chung wonders if Lin En has lost her mind and begins to spit out crap for our guy. Angrily, Lin En looks in his direction and questions since when he has been appointed to make decisions. Sweating, as he fumbles to explain himself, can't help but think, why is she even defending him? Then, Lin En turns back to him, informing this is the highest she can offer. But Joe is torn between the offer and the skills he has to offer, just a mere E rank. Before he could say anything, an announcement goes off, urging all new students to gather in the assembly hall. Lin En tells him to think about it, considering how overwhelming this offer might be for him. He lets her know that he will take her offer into consideration, and she walks him out to the assembly hall. In the assembly hall, a boy with golden locks, assuming himself to be superior, sits with our boy to stand out in comparison to him. The boy's intentions toward Lin En are anything but pure. He aims to control her, planning to marry her to boost his family's influence. The orientation begins. The instructor, Zhang Hui, introduces himself and congratulates them on making it into Dawnbreaker. He calls them all geniuses, but quickly reminds them that right now, they're just freshmen. He warns them that they'll soon face something entirely new, the Fissure. A fissure is like a hunt. Oracles are the hunters, but fate decides when they can fall as prey. The human weapons are of no use there. Only immense core strength and weapons made out of fissure materials are fruitful. The Academy Dawnbreaker collects the top-tier oracles, creating a solid defense line against fissures. Zhang Hui directs them to the library for more information and to the training hall for combat simulations. They can arrange their own schedules, but he makes it clear, adapt and grow stronger, or become useless here. Seeing no fear in their eyes, he declares the success of the first assessment. As a reward, each student receives a skill stone, a crystal that lets them absorb a combat ability. This one contains Wise Eye, a skill that allows automatic sensing and reading of fissure script. The instructor then informs 2 more assessments, the first being an entrance test, which requires them to clear 1 low-rank fissure. The second being, they must reach D rank and awaken their potential within half a year. Some of the students panic, while some relax knowing the solution to reach D rank. Sensing their unease, Zhang Hui reassures them that supplements will help speed up the process. Then, he calls in the seniors, and the hall falls silent as Lin En steps forward with her beauty and undeniable aura. The instructor tells the student that their seniors will help them in their freshman assessment. The instructor continues, guiding the students to choose their mentors. The students are gasping, unable to believe Lin En is in front of them, the heir to Shenhua Guild. A student stands up, pleading to be chosen, claiming she is the reason he joined the academy. Lin En, however, turns him down, explaining that she only accepts those of the magic type, while the student specializes in strength. Another guy, out of devotion, chooses to learn magic type just for her, despite mastering in strength. But she turns him down as well. One by one, she keeps turning the students down, having high standards. The instructor's patience begins to wear thin. He urges her to choose at least 1 freshman, warning that if she doesn't, she will be assigned whoever remains at the end by default. Among the students, the boy with golden looks watches confidently, certain he will be chosen, either by Lin En's choice or by circumstance. A win-win situation for him. Then Zhou Chen stands, asking to be taken as her mentee. The hall falls silent, no one expecting her to agree. But when she says yes, the whole room is stunned. Later, in the mission hall, Zhou questions her decision, wondering why she chose him and offered such a high price for someone as inexperienced as he is. Lin En simply tells him she has personal reasons, which she will reveal after the test. She then introduces the team arranged for his upcoming assessment. Su Han, the supervisor, will only intervene if a life is in danger, and any interference on her part will result in failure. Liu Wei, the healer, provides recovery support, while Zhao Lin handles long-range attacks. Li Rui, the team leader, commands the formation and makes the tactical calls. Li Rui sees our hero empty-handed and wonders if he has awakened any kind of special talent, to which he denies. Hearing that, he's shaken, wondering how did the academy even let him in like that. Since there's no point in complaining now, they decide to stay alert on his side. Liu Wei advises Zhu to stay close for protection, but he insists he has combat experience, leaving her slightly exasperated by his confidence. Then, Li Rui's team is sent to Fissure in Room 1, and the fissure can be opened by a World Tree fragment. As soon as the fissure opens, our boy feels a dense aura, hoping that he finds the key to level up. They end up in a cave, and almost immediately, a pack of shadow demon wolves detects their presence, with a sharp sense of smell. Leroy and Zhaolin charge at them, trying their best to take them down. The healer, Liu Wei, runs to heal them, unaware a beast is behind her.